left him no space to try and run.
Let's go.
Really nice.
Come on, Gesicki. Get there. Get there. Let's go.
Mike Gesicki.
Welcome back to the Falcons franchise here on Madden 23. Very interesting first year for the Falcons. We won 11-6 and won the NFC South, but fell short in the playoffs as we lost to the Buccaneers in the wild card round. But very successful season, and we're going to start things off by recapping those of you who are new to this series on what happened during the season. First game of the season, we took on the Saints, and Slant Boy Michael Thomas just took off on us. Scores a touchdown to make it 9-0. Later on in the game, Marcus Mariota, who had a really tough first start with the Falcons, throws a pick here. They end up winning 32-13, so a rough first week for us. Then we go to week 2, taking on the Los Angeles Rams, and it only got worse as Mariota going to get hit hard by Leonard Floyd, coughs up the ball. Aaron Donald takes it back for one of his 2 touchdowns in this game. Desmond Ridder ended up replacing Mariota, but the Rams ended up winning 35-10. So now Desmond Ridder's first start happened in week 3 as we took on the Seattle Seahawks. He had a pretty solid performance as he runs it in for his first NFL touchdown, on the ground at least. And then later on, he'd find B-Rye for the touchdown to give us a 38-0 lead. The Seahawks would get some points, but we'd win 48-17, getting our first win of the season. Week 4 would bring some heartache to us as we took on the Cleveland Browns, and they'd get very close and kick a field goal right here from Cade York to get this one 23-20, and we dropped to 1-3 thanks to that human piece of crap right there, who won't be in the series after this season. But now we take on the Bucs in week 5, looking for the upset as Cordero Patterson gets into the end zone for the touchdown. And then right before the end of the game, Ryan Succop tries a 56-yarder to tie it and send it to OT, but he falls short, and we upset the Bucs 30-27. So then we got a lot of confidence going into this game against the Niners, but we were down 28-10 at the half thanks to that touchdown. But then we'd come back. Desmond Ridder on the read option gets it in for the touchdown. We take a 1-point lead. The Niners would get a field goal, and then Ridder, trying to force it into John Ross, gets picked off, and that's all she wrote. The Niners win this one 34-32, and disappointment after that big one against the Bucs. We dropped to 2-4, but now we got to take on Joe Shiesty and the Bengals, and we actually took care of business here as Tyler Algier caps it off with a big touchdown. We'd win 42-28. And another big upset. And then we took on the Carolina Panthers in week 8. And Baker Mayfield, I don't know what he was thinking there, but he gets picked off by Deion Jones. And he's going to take it back to the residence for the touchdown. And we didn't win this one 30-13. So we get to 500 at 4-4. But now we got to take on Jay Herbo and the Chargers. 31-25. Ridder trying to make something happen here. And Khalil Mack just going to strip away our hopes with a big strip sack, and he just took the ball away. It didn't even hit the ground or nothing. Chargers won 31-25. We dropped to 4-5. Then week 10, we have another matchup with the Panthers, this time on Thursday night, and it went very similar to the last game as Kyle Pitts gets a touchdown there to make it 20-7. It ended up being a blowout, 45-17, as we take care of business. And then we take on the Bears for some Bears football. And Corey Ballantyne, who's not even our normal punt returner, takes us back for the touchdown, filling in for the injured Cordero Patterson. And we would end up winning this one off a big drive towards the end of the game as Ross gets into the end zone. We win 31-12, but it was much closer than the final score showed as the Bears played tough defensively most of the game. And then we take on the Washington Commanders. And here's Ridder stepping up. He's going to run up the middle for the touchdown. We'd actually get a defensive shutout. Their only touchdown came on a pick 6, but we'd win 31-7. So now week 13, we're taking on Mitchie Trubisky and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'd end up winning this one 20-14, very close game. And then we'd hit a week 14 bye before having a rematch with the Saints from week 1. And this game would go much different than the last one did, as Casey Hayward going to get a huge pick 6 to start things off for us as we go up 7-0. And then later on in the game, we're up 28-10. Here's Kamara taking a big hit from Rashaan Evans. Richie Grant going to pick this one up, and he's going to take it to the casa. We end up winning this one by a final score of 38-17. So we're in total control of the division at this point, although the Saints would definitely linger on later in the year. and then we'd have probably the game of the year here against the Ravens. We would go up 20-10 after Younghoe Koo would miss an extra point after this Damiere Byrd touchdown. And it would loom large later on in the game as Patterson gonna cough the football up. Calais Campbell does a good job poking it out. And now the Ravens have a chance to take the lead here, and they take full advantage of that as Lamar Jackson gonna throw underneath to Gus Edwards. He's gonna run over Rashaan Evans and get into the end zone for the touchdown. So now the Ravens up 30-29, but then 3rd and 2, under a minute to go, and Cordell Patterson with a big catch there, and then Younghoe Koo would get his redemption with a 38-yard field goal to put us up ahead 32-30, and that would be the final score as we survive the Ravens comeback bid. Now to week 17, we take on the Arizona Cardinals, and right here, Drake London gonna take the top off the Cardinals defense for a huge touchdown. Big throw by Ritter as well. We'd win this one 39-21. And that would set up a huge Week 18 matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a rematch from the game we beat them in. We would be down 17-0 early on, and then Kyle Pitts just burns the defense weak into the end zone. Tampa Bay needed to win this game to stay alive for a potential playoff spot. And then Brady going to get picked off by Dean Marlowe, who's going to take it back for the touchdown to tie it up at 31. But you're never out of a game when you have Tom Brady at quarterback, as we make a mistake, we blitz, and Mike Evans takes full advantage, gets into the end zone for the touchdown, and then Desmond Ridder on the very next play just throws an awful pass, picked off by Logan Ryan, and he'd take it back to the Casa. Buccaneers win 45-31, and with the Niners losing to the Cardinals as well, the Buccaneers backdoor into the playoffs in the 7th seed, and we'd have to rematch them a second straight week in the wild card spot. And then Brady in the 3rd quarter throws a very costly pick 6 there to Casey Hayward. And then later on in the game, however, Brady gonna redeem himself, finding Kyle Rudolph for a touchdown. So now with 23 seconds to go, big throw over to Kyle Pitts by Ritter. But then final play of the game, Ritter tries to get it up to Pitts, and Logan Ryan breaks our hearts, just like he broke the Patriots' hearts when he was a part of the Titans in 2019. The Bucs win 32-28. And that would end our season. So now we take a look at the season stats. I had a lot of people requesting it. So Desmond Ridder just under 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 23 picks, and 68% completion percentage. Mariota, not a very good season. He threw 6 picks in 2 games played. So looking at the rushing stats, Cordell Patterson just barely over 1,000 yards. He had 7 touchdowns as well. An average 4.2 yards per carry. Desmond Ridder, 605 yards and 8 touchdowns on 106 carries. He did have 12 fumbles, so he's going to have to clean that up. Tyler Algier in his rookie season, 487 yards and 11 touchdowns. I'd like to see him get the average up a little bit. 3.4 just isn't ideal. Receiving-wise, Kyle Pitts led the team with 1,072 yards and 5 touchdowns on 78 catches. Bryan Edwards, B-Rye, 917 yards, 6 touchdowns on 71 catches. Drizzy Drake London, 715 yards, 8 touchdowns and 63 catches in his rookie season. Bit of a disappointing season for John Ross, 525 yards and a touchdown on 45 catches. I just expected more from him, honestly. Cordell Patterson, 458 yards, no touchdowns, 54 catches. And Damiere Byrd, 21 catches, 234 yards and a touchdown. Auden Tate had 118 yards and a touchdown on 9 catches. Anthony Ferguson, 106 and a touchdown on 13. And Tyler Algier, 72 yards on 11 catches. John Fitzpatrick, 2 catches, 12 yards. Big shout out to Chris Lindstrom, who didn't give up a sack all season. Caleb McGarry's probably done in Atlanta. He gave up 10 sacks this year. Just didn't play very well at right tackle at all. Defensively, Deion Jones led the team with 116 tackles. Rashaan Evans had 103. As far as tackles for a loss went, Arnold Ebiketie had 22 tackles for a loss. Carter had 19. Ebiketie also led the team in sacks with 14. Lorenzo Carter had 11 sacks this year, and that's more than he had in his 4 years with the Giants combined. And then Grady Jarrett had 8.5. Jones had 3, Nassib had 3, and Evans had 1. And Ogundeji also had 1 as well. As we all know, INTs were kind of busted this year. Hayward had 8. Richie Grant and AJ Terrell each had 6. Deion Jones had 5. Rashaan Evans and Dean Marlowe had 4. Isaiah Oliver had 3. Eric Harris had 2. And then Carl Nassib and Troy Prott Jr. both had 1 each. Isaiah Oliver had the most pass deflections with 6. Terrell had 5. We also had a crap ton of forced fumbles. Rashaan Evans had 6, Deion Jones had 5, Grant and Ebiketie had 4, Oliver had 3, Marlowe had 2, Harris had 2, then Terrell, Hawkins, Nassib, Jarrett, and Ogundeji all had 1 each. As far as fumble recoveries go, Jones and Oliver had 3 each, Ebiketie, Jarrett, and Carter had 2 each, then Grant, Marlowe, and Rush each had 1 fumble recovery. And then Troy Pride Jr. and Corey Ballantyne had the only blocks, no safeties for us. And then Deion Jones had 3 touchdowns, Richard Grant had 2, and then Ebiketie, Marlowe, Evans, and Hayward each had 1. And then at kicking, Younghoe Koo, only 1 miss all season, and it was the extra point against the Ravens. 31 of 31 on field goals, as long as it was a 60-yarder. And he might be the best kicker in football right now. Bradley Pinion only had the punt 35 times. He averaged 41.9 yards net average-wise, 9 punts inside the 20, and 4 touchbacks. So pretty solid punting this year for Pinion. Corey Ballantyne averaged 21.3 yards per kick return. Cordell Patterson averaged 6.3 yards per punt return. Ballantyne had the lone return touchdown for us on special teams. So now that we're heading into the offseason, let's take a look at contracts right now. Marcus Mariota is going to be making $10.25 million more in 2023 than he did this year. I don't know if I'm really going to honor that. I might end up trading him. Of course, Ritter is on his rookie contract. He has 3 more years at least with us. Now, the big question at running back is whether or not we're going to bring back Cordell Patterson. He was very effective for us, but he is making $3 million more in 2023 than he did this season, and he's going to be 32, so I don't know if I want to keep him around. At fullback, I'm probably going to move on from Keith Smith after this year. He just really was kind of inconsistent at fullback for us. So the only 2 wide receivers we have on contract next year are Drake London and Bryan Edwards. Calvin Ridley, I'm going to try to bring him back. I'm going to try to see if I can at least get 2 or 3 more years out of him, but I could definitely understand a situation where he doesn't want to come back. But Olamide Zaccheaus, Damiere Byrd, and John Ross, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, all are probably going to be gone after this year. I might bring back Byrd if the price is right, but the rest of them are expendable in my opinion. At tight end, Kyle Pitts is the future there, and John Fitzpatrick is still on his rookie contract. So the only real question is, will I bring back Auden Tate and Anthony Firkser? Firkser I might bring back. Tate, I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see. At left tackle, Jake Matthews is locked up for the next 4 years after this one, so I'm not really too concerned with the left tackle situation. Although, I should point out, he's going to be making $19 million more in 2023 than he did this season, before it goes back down to $18 million the next 2 years. Jalen Mayfield's still on his rookie contract, but I might look to upgrade, though he is 22, so he has time to develop, so we'll see how that goes. And then Matt Hennessy, heading into his contract year, we'll have to see how he plays before we make any decision, but I'm very 50-50 on him right now. Chris Lindstrom, who's definitely our best offensive lineman, is going to be making about $8 or $9 million more than he did this past season. And I want to bring him back after this contract. I definitely want to get him back long term because he's basically the heart and soul of this O-line right now. And Caleb McGarry and Jermaine Ifedi are pretty much done in Atlanta. I have no desire to bring either one of them back. They've both been really bad, so we're probably going to draft a right tackle or sign one in the offseason. Marlon Davidson didn't play a whole lot for us because we signed Carl Nassib, and he's heading into a contract year, and I'm most likely going to end up trading him. And Grady Jarrett's going to be making almost $8 million more next year than he did in 2022, so that's going to be rough on the salary cap. And I might end up looking to bring Carl Nassib back if the price is right, but outside of that, definitely going to have to look to upgrade the end situation because I don't think Taquan Graham is going to be the answer. Now, Anthony Rush was pretty good as the starting nose tackle this year, but I think I need to upgrade in the middle of the defensive line. He's just not good enough in my opinion, and I don't think Timmy Horn's going to be a good replacement for him either. Not really much to worry about at left outside linebacker. Arnold Ebiketie is going to be the starter for at least the next 3 years, most likely, and I'm going to try to re-sign him because he was an absolute stud. And Ogundeji is still on his rookie contract as well. Another big objective for this offseason is to re-sign Rashaan Evans, who had a monster year for us this year. He's making $1.65 million this year, so we're probably going to have to pay him a lot more. Deion Jones is heading into a contract season after this year. So worst case scenario, I'm going to try to bring Nick Kwiatkowski back on some light money, and we still have Troy Anderson waiting in the wings, who's on his rookie contract right now. Realistically, I'm not so sure we're going to be able to bring back Lorenzo Carter at the money that he's probably going to demand after getting 11 sacks this year. So it might be D'Angelo Malone time at right outside linebacker, or maybe we'll sign or draft somebody. But I'm going to try to bring back Carter if I can. Similar to our receiver situation, we'll only have a few guys on contract for next year, AJ Terrell being one of them, and I'm definitely going to try to give him big money after next year. Casey Hayward, I'm going to let him play out this season. He is making $3 million more than he did this past season, so I might trade or release him. We'll have to see. But the rest of these guys, Isaiah Oliver, I'm going to try to re-sign him, but I wouldn't be shocked if he went elsewhere. And Ballantyne, I'm definitely bringing back as a punt returner. And we'll have to see about Troy Pride Jr. I felt like he played pretty decently at times. He did have a blocked extra point, I believe, as well. So definitely try to bring him back. Darren Hall still on his rookie contract. He has 2 more years. Richie Grant, 2 more years after this. He's definitely going to be the future at free safety. He wasn't starting at the beginning of the year, but he outplayed Eric Harris when he got into the spot. So Eric Harris is probably done. He's going to be 33 next year, so I don't think I'm going to bring him back. I also don't think I'm bringing back Dean Marlowe. Even though he played really well this year, he's going to be turning 31, and he's a 72 overall right now, so I'm sure he's pretty much past the point where he's going to develop at all. So maybe Jalen Hawkins will be the starter as strong safety. Maybe I'll draft or sign one. We'll have to see. Our kicker situation is fine. Younghoe Koo has 4 more years after this year. And then Bradley Pinion, I might actually sign him as well. We'll have to see. So real quick, let's go over the rest of the playoff bracket. We went over the wild card games last video. In the divisional round, we had the Chargers beat the Raiders 28-20. Then you had the Colts upset the Bengals in overtime. 37-31 was the final over there. And then the Rams knock off the Buccaneers 35-30. So could this be the end for Tom Brady? I hope not, because I want revenge. But then you had the Panthers pull off another upset, beating the Saints 21-20. So they're really the Cinderella of these playoffs. And then the Colts in the AFC Championship upset Justin Herbert and the Chargers 35-28. And they're going to be facing the Rams in the Super Bowl, who beat the Panthers 31-20. So that ends the Panthers Cinderella story. And now the Rams have a chance to win their 2nd straight Super Bowl and their 3rd overall. So now let's quickly go over the league leaders. As I mentioned, Tom Brady led the league in passing yards, completions, attempts, interceptions, and touchdowns. But the most impressive season out of all these guys was Justin Herbert. Jay Herbo had just shy of 5,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, and only 6 picks, and 70% completion percentage. So huge year for Herbert. Brady broke the single-season passing yards record, and Derrick Henry broke the single-season rushing yards record with 2,138 yards on the ground, 20 touchdowns, averaging 6.3 yards per carry. And he actually didn't lead the league in carries either. Actually, Christian McCaffrey led the league in carries. Jonathan Taylor led the league with 26 touchdowns, but McCaffrey, 341 carries. He had 20 touchdowns as well, and no fumbles for him. But Henry and Brady not the only ones to break records. Cooper Kupp sets the single-season record for receiving yards with 2,039. First receiver to ever get over 2,000 yards as well, and he had 21 touchdowns to boot. And if you thought Caleb McGarry was bad, look at Andrew Thomas and Brian O'Neill giving up 19 sacks each. Horrible seasons for them. Eric Kendricks gets 165 tackles to lead the league. And then Chris Jones with 23 tackles for a loss to lead the league. And then for sacks, Leonard Floyd had 22, Aaron Donald had 17, so that's 39 sacks between the both of them. Von Miller had 20 and a half, Khalil Mack had 18, and JJ Watt had 17. TJ Watt had 16. And then we look at interceptions, and Marshawn Lattimore had 8 to lead the league. He actually tied with Casey Hayward. And my boy Christian Fulton had 7 on the season as well. Denzel Perryman led the league with 12 pass deflections. Rashaan Evans led the league in forced fumbles with 6. Deion Jones led the league with 3 forced fumbles. Nobody really took over the lead with blocks or safeties. Nobody had more than 1 of each of those. But touchdowns, Aaron Donald had 2. Both of them were against us. And Deion Jones, of course, had 3 touchdowns to lead the league. Younghoe Koo, the only kicker to not miss a field goal outside of Potter Sam, who only kicked 5 field goals anyways. Jack Fox had the most punts in the league, of course. I mean, the Lions, of course, are going to have the most punts in the league. They're not a very good team. Jordan Berry of the Vikings had the highest average. Highest net average was Brian Anger of the Cowboys. And Joseph Charlton of the Rams had the most punts inside the 20. So now we take a look at the Pro Bowl lineup, and Desmond Ridder actually made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. I'll be damned. So that's pretty impressive. We didn't have a ton of Pro Bowlers. Kyle Pitts also made the Pro Bowl as well, but that really was about it for the offensive side, at least. I think Chris Lindstrom could have made it, but he didn't end up getting in there. Now we go to defense, and Arnold made it into the Pro Bowl. Good job, Arnold Ebiketie, making it in. I mean, the season he had to make it in. None of our corners got in, but Richie Grant gets in, so we have 4 Pro Bowlers so far. And come on, you already knew Younghoe Koo was getting in there the season that he had. He didn't miss a field goal all year, so of course he was going to make it. So now we'll cap things off with the award winners, and obviously Justin Herbert was going to win MVP with the season he had. I'm a little shocked that Zach Taylor ended up winning Coach of the Year, though, because I feel like Brandon Staley or Arthur Smith probably should have won it over him, but So Offensive Player of the Year on the NFC side was Cooper Kupp. Big shocker there. I mean, you set a receiving record like he did, then, I mean, obviously you're going to win it. Leonard Floyd wins Defensive Player of the Year, although we did have Deion Jones and Arnold Ebiketie up there for us. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Jameson Williams. He beats out Drake London for that honor. And Desmond Ridder and Tyler Algier were also in the mix there. Then Arnold Ebiketie wins Defensive Rookie of the Year over Aiden Hutchinson. So, great for Ebiketie. Definitely had a big year. Aaron Rodgers wins Best Quarterback, and Ridder is nowhere to be found there. No surprise there. Christian McCaffrey wins Best Running Back, which isn't really surprising either. And receiver, Cooper Kupp. I mean, obviously, he's going to win it because of him setting the single-season receiving record. Zach Martin wins Best O-Lineman. Chris Lindstrom finished second, which really makes me scratch my head of why he didn't make it to the Pro Bowl. But anyways, J.J. Watt wins Best Defensive Lineman, and we actually didn't have anybody there. Leonard Floyd wins Best Linebacker, and Ebiketie finished second, so that's huge for him. Lorenzo Carter finished 7th in that race. And then for Best Defensive Back, Marshawn Lattimore beats out Casey Hayward and Richie Grant. AJ Terrell was 5th. So we had a lot of DBs in there. And then, of course, Younghoe Koo wins Best Kicker. Now we go to the AFC side. Jonathan Taylor beats out Derrick Henry for Offensive Player of the Year, which is absolutely psycho to me. But, you know, he probably had more receiving yards. Khalil Mack wins Defensive Player of the Year. And the Jets sweep Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, as Breece Hall wins Offensive, Sauce Gardner wins Defensive, and Garrett Wilson was second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year category as well. So, clean sweep for the Jets. Justin Herbert, of course, was going to win Best QB, and Jonathan Taylor wins Best Running Back over Henry as well. Big head scratcher there, but I guess. Robert Woods wins Best Receiver. That's a big shocker to me. Corey Linsley wins Best Offensive Lineman. Von Miller wins Best Defensive Lineman, and it was a clean sweep for the Bills as Ed Oliver and Gregory Rousseau finished 2nd and 3rd respectively. Khalil Mack wins Best Linebacker, no surprise there. Christian Fulton wins Best Defensive Back, and Cade York wins Best Kicker. So Season 1 didn't end very well for us, to say the very least, but we have a bright future, and I like the direction the team is going. We're going to have to make some decisions in the offseason that are going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to the offseason in year 2. I'll be live with the offseason on Thursday, September 1st at about 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to be streaming it on YouTube. I know that Twitch is going to be my main platform when it comes to streaming, and I'll probably fire up a Twitch stream after I'm done with the offseason and the preseason, but I want to focus this series strictly on YouTube, and thus I'll probably stream it over here, and I'll decide whether or not to unlist it afterwards. We'll have to see, but I can't wait for it. It's going to be a really interesting offseason, and it's going to set up for a really good year 2 of the series. So if you guys are hyped for the offseason and hyped for year 2, make sure you guys smash that like button, hit the sub button if you're new as well, and turn your notifications on to join the notification gang. That way, every time I upload a video, you guys will be notified, and we're going to keep this mofo rolling here on KazCray Gaming. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/KazCray. And if you want to see more from this channel, check out the playlist and the video in front of you.